What makes this story so compelling isn't just about football. It's about legacy, character, and the quiet moments that define a young man stepping into the spotlight. Shadore Sanders knows exactly where he stands in his journey. He isn't nervous, he isn't waiting for permission. He's ready. Fully, completely ready. You can feel it in the way he talks, the way he carries himself, and the way he acknowledges the men who helped him get here. When asked about Joe Flacco's trade, Shadore didn't take the easy road. He didn't celebrate or shift the narrative toward his own gain. Instead, he spoke with the kind of humility that's rare in professional sports. He called Flacco a mentor, a man he leaned on for wisdom. There was no arrogance in his tone, no sense of entitlement. Just respect. Respect for a man who's been to the mountaintop, a Super Bowl champion who, even in his twilight years, found time to guide the next generation. Shadore didn't need to make that comment, but he did, because that's who he is. He's built from the same cloth as the greats who came before him, humble enough to listen, confident enough to know when it's his time. When he talked about seeing Flacco after the news broke, his words painted a clear picture. "Dang, that happened quick," he said, shaking his head with a mix of surprise and sadness. That moment wasn't rehearsed. It was raw. You could see it in his eyes. This wasn't just another roster move for him. It was the closing of a chapter with someone he genuinely respected. Even as the winds of change swirled around the Browns organization, Shadore stayed calm. No resentment, no nerves, just gratitude. That composure is what separates the hopefuls from the destined. It's rare to see such poise in a player barely beginning his NFL journey. Most rookies in his position would be scrambling to prove themselves, trying to outshine everyone in the room. But Shadore? He understands timing. He knows that being a quarterback isn't just about arm strength. It's about leadership, patience, and knowing how to carry yourself when the lights are at their brightest. His connection with Joe Flacco became the perfect example of that. Unlike Dillon Gabriel, who's been quietly battling for the same spotlight, Shadore never needed to throw shade or stir tension. His respect for Flacco was unwavering. Even during heated competition, he carried himself like a man who knew exactly what it meant to be part of something bigger. Flacco, for his part, returned that respect. The veteran quarterback called Shadore fun to be around, and even admitted that the young gun made him smile during team meetings. Think about that. A 39-year-old Super Bowl MVP, who's seen every kind of locker room personality imaginable, admitting that this rookie managed to crack through his stoic armor. That's not nothing. That's presence. The two built something special during OTAs. On the surface, it was mentorship. But beneath it, it was mutual admiration. When the cameras caught them laughing, joking, and even challenging each other to dance, it showed the kind of chemistry that can't be faked. It wasn't about who was better. It was about pushing each other to be their best. Shadore was confident enough to playfully tease Flacco, and Flacco, with that trademark dry humor, laughed it off. These weren't rehearsed PR moments. They were snapshots of two competitors who respected the grind and understood the value of balance in a high-stress environment. In one particularly memorable exchange, Shadore joked about Flacco's voice not matching his body, sending the entire group into laughter. Flacco grinned, shaking his head, saying he'd never been one for public dance moves. The clip went viral, not because of the joke itself, but because it showed what's been missing from Cleveland's locker room for years. Joy. Genuine joy. In a league built on pressure, these two quarterbacks managed to find a rhythm that made everyone around them better. But beneath the laughs, there was something deeper brewing inside Shadore. You could sense that, even while he was joking with Joe, his respect ran bone deep. In another candid moment, Shadore said, "If Flacco told me to do this every day, I would do it." There's something powerful about that. It wasn't blind loyalty. It was reverence. The kind that comes from recognizing greatness and understanding that to be great, you must first be humble enough to learn. Every morning, he checked in on Flacco. Every day, he showed up ready to work. That kind of consistency doesn't just impress coaches. It wins over entire locker rooms. Still, no story in Cleveland stays quiet for long. Analysts began to connect the dots almost immediately after Flacco's trade. They saw the opportunity forming like a storm cloud over the facility. With Joe gone, the depth chart had shifted, and suddenly, Shadore was no longer the student sitting in the back of the class. He was next in line. One misstep from Dillon Gabriel, and the door would swing open. That's how fast the NFL moves. But if there's anyone prepared for that moment, it's Shadore Sanders. Behind the scenes, whispers suggested this move was more than just a coincidence. Team owner Jimmy Haslam has reportedly had a long-term vision for this roster, one that always centered on Sanders. NFL insider Tom Pelissero even revealed that Haslam made it clear he wanted both young quarterbacks to stay and develop under the Brown system. Trading Flacco, according to insiders, wasn't just a business move, it was a statement. A calculated step toward a future where Shadore would eventually be the face of the franchise. Haslam saw what most fans already sensed. This wasn't just another prospect. This was the spark Cleveland's been waiting for. What makes all of this more intriguing is the way Shadore has handled it. No cockiness, no chest-thumping declarations, just quiet readiness. That balance between confidence and humility is what gives this moment so much weight. Even as opportunities begin to open up, he keeps his focus on learning, improving, and earning every snap. He doesn't demand the spotlight. He earns it one day at a time. Cleveland's quarterback carousel has spun for decades, but something feels different this time. There's an authenticity in Shadore's approach